Hello, everybody. This is John Marola from Keeping It Real Section 5 Football, and this is our 6th week at Premier Sports in Grease Ridge Mall. I want to say thanks to Joe Muno for having us here every week and doing the Player of the Week awards. I'm finally catching up. I missed a couple episodes. We had some glitches, and I got one done yesterday. That one will be out before this one today. It'll be out at 5 o'clock, and this one will probably be out around 5:30, quarter to 6. But first, before we start, I have to introduce my partner on my right, Section 5 Hall of Fame football and baseball coach, Dave Lanning. Coach?
John, always a pleasure.
Yep, another week at it.
And a good week.
Yes, last week was a very interesting. Last week, I believe, was we can really say that we have the contenders and the pretenders are in the rearview mirror right now.
I think things have fallen into place.
Yes, they have.
It's not sectional time yet, but you can get an idea of where the seeds will end up, and still a couple of weeks to go.
Yep. You want to go over a couple?
Yeah, last week, John, an interesting slate of games. And in no particular order, I know this was the one that you were at, UPrep and McQuaid.
Yep.
A shootout. UPrep beat McQuaid, giving McQuaid their first loss of the year. McQuaid goes to 5-1. UPrep's 3-3, but it's a strong 3-3 because they've got their starters back and they're very dangerous.
Yes.
The final score on that one was 44-36, UPrep.
Yep.
And it was a wild one. Quarterback Tavian Bird from UPrep
Had a great game.
hit a game winner 41 touchdown strike to Gavin White on a fourth down, 41 yards for the game winner. Bird finished 15 for 26 for 253 yards and 5 touchdowns. So an outstanding day for him. Gavin White added 70 yards rushing and a touchdown. Paris Brooken, 8 receptions for UPrep, 143 yards, 2 scores. And Kamari Miller anchored the defense with 10.5 tackles.
Yep.
So UPrep can get it done on both sides of the ball now that they're healthy.
That was the game that Paul, our other partner, we were at that one. And we did a pregame, halftime, and postgame interviews. We interviewed both coaches before the game and got a hold of them both at halftime, and then Coach Young after the game. And just being there, like Coach Lane was saying, it was just, I've been around football all my life. McQuaid was losing 28-3 with just under 4 minutes left in the second quarter. And we're all looking at each other like, this could be over. But then as soon as you said that, now McQuaid scored, got the ball back, scored again, and now it was 28-16, say, at halftime, or 18, something like that. And McQuaid was right back in it. And they did come back and take the lead. And then UPrep scored, and then McQuaid scored with 1:28 left to tie it up. And then, but that final drive that UPrep just came down, I mean, just the emotions of that game just going up and down. Talking to Coach Young after the game, he was just mentally spent. Just, 1 minute you're up on the clouds, and the next minute you're like, oh my God, what the heck's going on here? And it's just, it was a heck of a great football game.
I certainly have been there, and I know what that feeling is like.
Yep.
Now, McQuaid's never out of it because they've got a veteran quarterback, Will DeMarco, who's very capable. He was 24 for 39 for 215, and an outstanding running back, a former Player of the Week in Alan Nesmith.
Yes.
Who rushed 25 times for, I think, 117 and 2 touchdowns, and he also caught 6 balls for 57.
Yes.
So McQuaid can hit you quick with their veteran players. JP Gianforte for McQuaid had another nice game, blocked another kick, blocked a punt. Last week it was a field goal, I think. And he also caught 8 balls for 88 yards, and Zach Crouch paced the defense with 10 tackles.
Yes.
So a great game, outstanding offenses on both sides. Sometimes that can overshadow the defense, but
yes,
well coached and just a good high school ball game.
Really good game to watch.
UPrep this week goes over to Fairport.
Yep.
and that's going to be maybe the featured game of this week.
Mm-hmm.
The way UPrep's playing, and Fairport will come in undefeated. So that's a Friday night contest.
I think with Fairport being undefeated right now and UPrep being one of the hottest teams playing, Coach Young said to us during at the game the other day, he was like, "I sure become a smarter coach when my starters get back." And
that's true.
That's with everybody, but yeah, you do. You become a better coach, and UPrep is very, very dangerous right now.
The things you draw up when you have your regular players out there,
yes,
sometimes look a lot better.
Yep.
Than with some of the other guys. That'll be a nice crowd, I'm sure, Friday night. The weather looks like it's going to be good, so that'll be fun on the turf over at Fairport. I'm going to be at that one.
I'll be there one too.
Another big one from the past week, Brighton and Irondequoit.
What was it?
Two undefeated teams coming in at 5-0. Brighton pulled it out 14-6 to go 6-0 on the year and to hand Irondequoit their first loss. Now, these two clubs going in, you might think that's going to be a bigger score.
Yeah.
But this was a defensive-dominated game on both sides of the ball. Irondequoit came in averaging 37 points a game. And to hold them to 6 is a pretty good effort by Brighton and a nice game plan by them defensively. Brighton, 4 sacks, forced 5 punts.
Yep.
They were all over it. Gavin Parks, another former player of the week, another big game, 194 yards and a touchdown on 39 carries. So that young man's getting his work in for sure.
The thing about Brighton, I was at that game Thursday night. They have a thing that a lot of teams try to have, and they just don't go about it the right way. But I think Brighton just found it. They have a swag about them right now, and they're playing with a lot of confidence. It's not cocky, it's just confidence. And you can just see it in them. I was filming down on the sideline, so I seen the kids from Brighton after they were making plays, offensively, defense. They have a swag about them right now, and they're in Class A. They're another deadly team that I don't think teams really want to match up with.
Well, there's 3 or 4 clubs in that bracket that are going to
you
be
got
solid.
those
but Brighton
two.
right now is the front runner, along with Canandaigua.
And then you got Eastern Monroe.
Right.
So
right.
actually you got 5 teams.
And Irondequoit.
Yeah, Brighton and Irondequoit. So, yeah, there's 5 teams in Class A where you put them in a hat right now.
Right. And good teams do play with that, as you said, that swag.
Yeah, they do.
They believe in themselves. Players that you might think, that guy's an average player. They start playing over their head, they believe in what they're doing, and that's when it's really fun. I've had clubs like that.
I mean, let's go back to when you were coaching at Fairport. I mean, just that Fairport image or that Fairport, once a Raider, always a Raider.
Sure. We went out expecting to win.
Yeah.
And if you lost, it was a surprise. It's like, what happened? That doesn't happen. But, you got to earn that. And the Brighton kids have had success for a number of years. And, yeah, that's a good club.
Yep. Coach Mike Weimer is their offensive and defensive line coach. I coached with him some years back at Aquinas. Just a great guy, great coach. And it's good to see that they're really starting to be successful over there. They're really doing a great job.
It's a player's game at the end of the day, but at this time of year now, coaching can really make a difference.
Yes.
And you see that as these clubs get towards the end here, the good clubs.
Because like we just mentioned, there's probably, in AA right now, there's probably 4, maybe 5 teams that have a legit shot.
Right.
In A, there's 5 legit teams that have a shot to win, and it's going to come down to coaching. Unfortunately for you coaches that are coaching those teams, you got to start bringing your A game if you haven't, because
this time when pressure starts to mount a little bit, but you want that pressure. If you want to be in position to feel that pressure.
Yes.
You don't want to be 0-6 right now.
No.
You're just going on another day's work. This is a fun time of year.
I one quick one. I do security up at Bill's camp at St. John Fisher, and a word that, or the saying that those guys would say up there in the coaches was, pressure is privilege.
Yeah. Sure.
So being under pressure, it's a privilege because everybody isn't like under pressure like that.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
You want to feel it.
Yep, you want to feel it.
Well, another good one from this past weekend was the Fairport Hilton game.
Mm-hmm.
Hilton has had their way with Fairport the last few years, but this time around, Fairport took charge and won 28-0.
28.
Shut out Hilton.
When's the last time you've seen Hilton shut out?
Yeah, it's been a while, I'm sure.
Oh,
Fairport goes to 6-0,
Yep.
and in fact, ranked fourth in the state right now, large school division.
Nice.
Excuse me. Strong defense, led by defensive ends Marcus Garrett. He's a senior and is getting some looks from big-time colleges. And junior James Kester. They each had 7 tackles and a sack
Okay.
for Fairport. Senior safety Jack Gosson, 7 tackles and an interception. Fairport's turning teams over and not turning themselves over at all. They've been very efficient. Offensively, quarterback Sam Roselli, junior, continues his steady play. 13 for 18, 140 yards, 2 touchdowns. And the dual threat at running back, Bailey Frank and Noah Remington,
Yep.
each with a touchdown. Kester added a touchdown reception of 30 yards. And John Russell, an interception and a touchdown reception. Aiden Shapley, another senior, wide receiver, caught 6 balls for 67 yards. So a nice team effort. They spread it around. Not one guy is having to do all the work. And they're kind of fun to watch right now. Defensively, veteran team, solid up front, and 2 senior inside linebackers. As I mentioned already, the 2 defensive ends who can play.
You know what else I'm hearing from Fairport is when we started talking about them week 1, week 2, week 3, the names that you were talking about back then are still the same names.
Yeah.
So I got to believe that they're pretty much probably pretty healthy.
Knock wood for all these clubs. They're healthy at this point for the most part. I mean, at this time of the year, everybody's got dings.
Yes.
You got to know the difference between hurt and sore. You know, and but they're pretty solid right now, health wise.
Yeah, that'll tell you how far you're going to go in your season.
Oh, sure
too.
it does.
I know McQuaid's really banged up with linemen. I was standing with the former coach at McQuaid, Jim Lemline, during the UPrep McQuaid game, and he was telling me that there were 2 kids on defense that never played defense before.
That's tough to go into a game like that.
Yeah, so...
trial by fire.
Yep.
2 other games that some interest. East Rochester, who's red hot now after an early loss, and certainly a team to be reckoned with in Class C. Maybe establishing themselves as the team to beat. Put up 40 against Tornell, won 40-6. As I said, to go 5-1. Quarterback Ben Newman, a big game. He's continued his good play. We'll talk more about him later on. And some of his talented receivers. So good win for ER.
Yes.
And Avon continues to be undefeated. They go 6-0 with a 41-8 victory over Geneseo Mount Morris. Now, Geneseo's no slouch, but Avon, again, has established themselves as probably the team to beat in that division. Cal Dolgus and Wes Farley each rushed for 3 touchdowns behind some outstanding offensive line play by Avon. So those are some of the big games from this past week.
It was a heck of a week, too. I mean, like we said, the contenders are definitely trying to make a push towards the top, and the other teams are maybe just looking to get the season over with and get into basketball or something. You know?
Yeah, we're down to 7 undefeateds after 6 weeks. That number dwindles week by week. There's 1 in AA, and that's Fairport at 6-0. In the A bracket, we've got 2 left, Brighton and Canandaigua, both 6-0. Now, I don't know, do they play?
No.
The last couple of weeks, they don't match up. So likely sectional contenders. Batavia in Class B goes to 6-0, and they've had another strong year. The Buckholz boys for Batavia are getting it done. Nobody undefeated in Class C. ER's there with 1 loss and maybe the class of that division. Avon continues to be undefeated in Class D at 6-0. In individual, or independent play, Penyan Dundee is 5-0, the only one left there, and Pembroke in 8-man is undefeated. So we're down to 7, and who knows what this week will bring there.
Yes.
And aside from those big-time games from the past week, there are some notable performances individually. I want to shout out to some of those guys. And if you saw any of them, Johnson, jump right in there, please. For Monroe, Pootie Cunningham, the quarterback, continues his sterling play. He went 13 for 17 for 275 yards and 3 TDs. Messiah Hampton, 103 yards receiving and a touchdown. He's scored in every week now as a receiver, and as we've said earlier, he's a big-time prospect.
Yeah, I am. I work up at number 5 school in the city, and his cousin works in our same building. I was talking to him today, matter of fact, and we were going through his offers.
Yeah.
And he had a good 15 offers, but the 2 that just jumped right out were Michigan and Ohio State.
Yeah.
So when you got people like that knocking on your door, you're
the real deal.
You are definitely the real deal. So we'll see what happens with that. Yes.
He also returned a punt 42 yards for a touchdown, so he can hurt you a lot of ways. Christian Franklin had an interception and 6 tackles for Monroe. Jermaine Montgomery, 8 tackles, and their 52-0 win over Arcadia. Jack Cianfrini, a former player of the week, out at Oakfield, Alabama. Elba, another big game, 245 yards, 3 touchdowns, as they picked up a 41-14 win over York Pavilion. Avery Watterson, 8 tackles in that win. So a couple of outstanding jobs there.
Yes.
Continuing with some notable performances, Attica's Noah Atterbury, 17 rushes for 204 and 4 touchdowns in their 34-13 win over Notre Dame Batavia. Byron Burgeon. Byron Catalano of Minders, get this one, 287 rushing.
Wow.
5 touchdowns.
Wow.
In their 43-18 win over Finney North Star. Nick Davis chipped in with 9 tackles for Minders.
Okay.
Over at Penfield, a young guy back off an injury.
Yes.
AJ, and I hope I can get the last name right. AJ Theodorakis, 155 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns. Ronan Boyle, 8 tackles, 3 for a loss in their win over Rush Henrietta.
I watched that one on Varsity Media, and that went into overtime, and that was one heck of a game, too. There's some really good games been played this past weekend.
Yeah.
I mean,
Canandaigua's quarterback, Drew Willamy, 9 for 13, 140, 2 touchdowns in their 55-17 win over Wilson. Canandaigua, as we said, still undefeated. Certainly a team to reckon with. One more I want to mention. Dylan Carabello at Waterloo, 4 touchdowns, 2 on kick returns in their 42-30 win over Marcus Whitman Bloomfield. So some outstanding individual performances. Backs, receivers tend to get the mention there.
Yes.
But with those rushing numbers, the offensive lines are getting it done.
Yes, they are.
I wish we had some names there.
The young man I went out to go get his done the other day, the first thing he said to me is like, "Do you mind if I have to mention my linemen?" I said, "Please do." I mean, those guys up, in front of you, if they're not doing their job, there's no way that you're going to get all your yardage.
Right.
So there's definitely recognition going on with that.
Coaches, you're welcome to throw those names in here too. We'll get them on the air. Next week, John, got some interesting ones coming up. As we mentioned earlier, Fairport UPrep. Friday, UPrep coming off that big one over McQuaid. That game's at Fairport. That'll be a
7
test.
p.m.
7 p.m. I'll see you there for
I
sure.
will definitely be there. I might do a little filming too. Who
Okay,
knows?
great.
I don't know if I get access to the field or not.
Right. Pittsford and McQuaid. McQuaid, a bounce-back game now. We'll see how they handle themselves and if they can get healthy against Pittsford, because they've got Fairport next week.
Yes.
And that could shape up to be for the league championship.
Yes, they could.
The AA championship. Alexander at 5-1 plays Oakfield, Alabama, who's 4-2. That could be a big one. Canandaigua puts their 6-0 record on the line against Brockport, who's 4-2. So those are some of the highlighted games, I think, from this coming week.
Yes, yes. And then we get into the following week and the regular season.
That's it.
That's it. I mean, then we're into sectionals. And just to let everybody know, too, we'll be broadcasting this one tonight. And then we'll have 2 more broadcasts after this one at Premier. When sectionals hit and we start doing that, it's going to be back at my house. It's just less things to travel with, and it's good to be home.
Yeah, and the upside of that too, John, is there may be some pizzelles in the.
Oh, you know, there's pizzelles always waiting. So gotta get Josie back working. She's been laying around too much.
Well, she'll come through. I know.
Yes, she always has, and she always will. We know that. So, right now, you good with everything?
Yeah, we've got our player of the week coming up. We won't announce him yet. We'll wait till he gets here and come back on air.
I'll tell you one thing. He had one hell of a game. I mean, I think rushing and throwing, he was all-purpose yards. He was over 400 yards.
Yes, he was. And he's got some talented receivers too. Well, we may as well announce his name. It's
Yeah.
Ben Newman of East
Ben
Rochester,
Newman,
Gananda.
yep.
And we'll get into his numbers a little later on, but he's got some talented receivers, a couple of nice running backs.
Yep.
And as we've already mentioned, ER looks like maybe a team to beat now.
Yes, they are. So just stay tuned, and we will be back with our Week 6 Player of the Week, Ben Newman from East Rochester, Gananda. So stay tuned. Hello, everybody. We're back again with Keeping It Real Section 5 football. And on my far right, we have Section 5 football and baseball Hall of Fame coach, Coach Dave Lanning. Coach, thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
And our special guest in the middle is the quarterback at East Rochester Gananda High School, Ben Newman. Ben, thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You want to start, Coach?
I will. Ben, first of all, I want you to know that I'm a graduate of ER too, so I'm proud to have you here, carrying on that great tradition at East Rochester Gananda. Ben's senior quarterback for ER. He's led them to a 5-1 record right now after an early loss. You guys are red-hot. Coming off the big 40-6 win over Hornell, Arkport, Canasteraga, and you had a huge game, Ben. I'm going to just throw out some numbers, and then we'll talk a little bit about it. You were 13 for 20 for 379 is what I have. 5 touchdowns. You added 35 yards rushing. Now that's like 3 or 4 games worth for some guys. What do you attribute that to?
I just attribute it to the offensive coordinator, Coach Bach. He comes in week in and week out. He has a great install at the beginning of the week, a great game plan. We go through the week. He just makes everything so easy, putting us and my teammates in a successful position going into the week.
That's great. Now, I know you've got a couple of hot receivers right now. Justin Allen caught 3 balls for touchdowns. And Mr. Sneed, I'm not sure the first name there. Cadero, 2 touchdowns. Those your favorite targets?
I think whoever's open is my favorite.
There you go.
I think, but every one of those receivers, every one of our playmakers in general, they've all had certain games where it's like their time to shine. It was their moment. I think this game, Justin's had a big game for us. It was amazing, but I think all of my guys can make plays when they get the ball in their hands.
Matchups key there?
Absolutely. I think I look at the defense and whatever matchups that I think is the most favorable, I try and attack it and put my guys in the best position to succeed.
How about at the line of scrimmage? Any pre-snap reads and audibles or anything?
Pre-snap reads, definitely. I think that's one of my strong suits as a quarterback is looking at the defense pre-snap, seeing, all right, what are 2 high safety, 1 high safety, where are the corners lined up, are they bringing pressure, and just letting my O-line and my receivers know what's going to happen in the post-snap.
Is anybody daring to play man against you guys?
A couple teams, but they usually get out of it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Because I think our receivers are so explosive.
Now, from my experience, all the receivers want the ball all the time. They're always open. Is that the case with your guys?
I think me and my receivers have a mutual respect that they know if they're open, I'm going to try and give the ball as best I can. I'm not a perfect quarterback and they're not a perfect receiver, but I think just our mutual friendship and respect we have for each other limits any first between us.
Now, the 35 yards rushing, were those Bland rushes or scrambles?
Definitely scrambles. Definitely scrambles. My coach likes to roll me out and stuff like that, but when the pocket breaks down or nothing's open, I tucked it around a couple times and it worked very well.
Well, that's good. My question I have for you is, and I've asked this in other Player of the Weeks during the course of the season, is there's a time and a point in the game where you're playing and you're like, in your mind you're like, I think I had a pretty good night here. And I'm sure that popped into your mind. When did that come to you? Or what quarter, what time, what play? Were you thinking, wow, I think I'm going to have a pretty good night. I'm feeling pretty good. When did you think that happened?
I would say right when I got out the locker room, going out for warm-ups.
Nice.
You know, I think we had a really great week of practice.
Okay.
Everyone was focused and locked in. This was a good Hornell team that took us to the last play. We won on a 2-minute drill with like 40 seconds left from the 40-yard line, no timeouts last year. So we understood the type of work ethic we had to go in the week with. And as soon as I got on the field, I looked at my team, I looked at my coaches, and I was like, we're going to have a good night tonight.
That's interesting. That's very. I haven't heard a player say that to me once this year, and that's really interesting. It just kind of popped in my head a little bit. We did before you got here. We did the games that were played this past week, and then we talked about some of the upcoming games of the week. And I mentioned the coach. I was at the Brighton Irondequoit game last Thursday, and I said to Coach, I said, I've watched Brighton play for some years now. This is the first time I've seen Brighton walk around with a little bit of a swagger. And not a cocky, but a swag. You know what I'm saying? And I kind of got that same thing when I asked you, when do you think you're going to have a good game? And you said to me, when I came out of the locker room. So that's some good confidence. That's something you have to have if you're playing quarterback. It comes with a position, and then when it becomes true in the game, your guys now they're blocking a little harder for you, they're running a little harder for you. Everything seems to be clicking a little more.
Then let's talk technique a little bit. What do you see as your strengths as a quarterback?
I would say my strengths as a quarterback is just having a plan pre-snap based on pre-snap reads and then reacting quickly post-snap plays. I have free range. My offensive coordinator is confident in me where I can check the stuff at the line if I see something. So I think just having a good feel for the game in general allows me to be successful weekend.
Your favorite route to throw?
Favorite route? Well, everyone gets us in the end zone, but I would say I really like throwing balls because I think I have some really talented receivers that go up and get it, and I think my ball placement, whether it's going to be over the shoulder or back shoulder or stuff like that, I think I'm going to put them on for a chance to get it.
Good for you. Now, off season, what'd you do to prepare?
Off season, something that was really big this off season for me was getting my body right. I gained, I want to say, 20, 25 pounds of muscle.
Wow.
I was doing speed training, working out, getting the field back in April and stuff with my teammates so we could have a season like we're having right now, just getting chemistry down and just setting that tone that we've carried through the first 6 weeks.
I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
do you play other sports?
I'm thinking about playing baseball this year. I have a younger brother who's really good at baseball, so I'm going to get back into it.
Okay.
Here. What now are you thinking? Now you got 2 weeks left of the regular season. Tell me, and I know players, and I said this to players a lot. Tell me, I need 2 goals. I need your personal goal. What do you want to do this year personally, so you guys are successful? And what team goal are you thinking about for you guys this year?
I think team first. Our team goal is to win a brick and then make a deep state run. We believe that not just our talent, but our work ethic and togetherness is going to get us there. This team's really together. It's something that I noticed the first 2 weeks compared to last year. Just everyone's working towards one singular goal, and that's just win out. We control our own destiny and win a brick and a ring to match it. But I would say individually, last year I had a lot more individual goals than this year. I think that's how I've grown, not just as a quarterback, but as a player in general. But I would say just keep going. Just keep. This is my senior season. No games are guaranteed.
Yeah.
There's no next year, but also throw a touchdown my little brother.
There you go. There you go. That's got to be something special, especially for your family.
Absolutely.
Who's in your way in Class C?
Class C is really talented this year. There's a good Letchworth team. There's a good Leroy team that we're going to play for our last game on senior night. And just everyone else is talented and a lot of great coaches. So it's anyone's race.
And of course, begs the question, what about next year? What have you got planned?
Next year, I have a lot of colleges looking at me. I plan to go and major in business. So, a couple high academic FCS schools, Ivy League schools have been reaching out to me. I sent out my mid-season film, my first 4-game film, is what they've been asking for. So, just seeing.
Well, if you're talking about Ivies, then you must be stand out in the classroom.
Yeah, my mom made sure I keep my grades up.
That's
For
good.
sure.
Good for her.
That's good.
Good for her.
Good.
Do you have a wish list?
Just keep my options open, trying to get the best academic athletic opportunity at the next level.
Before we wrap up a little bit, why don't you give a shout out for your guys on your team, your offensive line?
Shout out my line, Nate Tandle, Dylan Carhania,
Positions.
center Nate Tandle. I think he's the best center in Section 5.
Okay.
Nate Tandle, Dylan Carhania, Nick Falso at guard, Burton Delmadoris and Tyler Eiston at tackles, Matty Bukowski at tight end for us, and just our team runs behind those guys. I truly believe that. We got explosive playmakers, but without those guys up there, I don't think we do a lot.
I always make sure I give some love out to those guys because I was a lineman back in the day too, and that's before we had all this. And it's just good. It's just good. Make everybody feel like they're a part of something, and which they are. Because if they're not doing their job, it's gonna be real hard for you to do your job. You know that. You know.
Then let me ask you a question about the breakdown between ER and Gananda players. How is it?
I think if you just strip the uniform off, you think we all go to the same school, maybe even live in the same house, how close this team together is.
That's great. How about the numbers, though? How many ER guys? How many Gananda?
I would say it's pretty even. If anything, it's like 40-60 ER to Gananda numbers-wise, but for as many guys we got, I think we're really close to
Oh,
that.
that's great. It had to be hard early on to get everybody on the same page, but it sounds like you're there.
Yes, most definitely. Well, that was a minute full. Coach, got anything more?
I want to wish Ben best of luck moving forward, and it'd be nice to bring that brick back to ER
Absolutely.
and move on from there. It's a great time of year. From my experience, as a coach, we didn't have sectionals back when I played, but as a coach, I know that going to the sectionals and moving beyond that is exciting. The whole town will rally.
Absolutely.
Actually, I can tell you when sectional started because I was a player back then. In 1980, there were no sectionals. We played your 8 or 9 games, and that was it. 1981 was the first year we had sectionals, and I believe Eastridge beat
I want to say Eastridge won it.
Eastridge beat Aquinas at the stadium. This is a little bit before you were born. 1981, I want to say that was the start of it. And then my father being at Fairport coaching there, 82, 83, they had the mythical state championships. I know Fairport played Jamestown one year, and that was about as far as you can go.
That would have been a regional game.
Yes, for now. But we just want to wish you all the luck in the world, and this is, every day is. I hate saying this to players, but every day is your last day.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not urgent, but it's there, and I think it makes you go a little harder, especially in practice, because then you're thinking, I don't have much more of this left here. Hopefully next year from now we can be looking at you someplace playing them. It'd be great if you were at an Ivy League school.
Sure.
But just keep it up, be positive, do what you've been doing, you be you. You ever hear people say that? You be you. And I think you, a really good young man, and hopefully, give you all the success in the world. Thank you for being here.
Just continue to make good decisions on and off the field, just like you've been doing.
Okay? Now we do the 1, 2, 3 thing, keeping it real section 5 football.
Let's do it.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Keep it real, section 5 football. Good night, everybody. Have a great night.
Have you ever felt?
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Have you
Thank you.